someone who has been extremely successful in their life. They've achieved a certain level of fame, of status, of wealth, of success, and living this life that you actually look up to and are inspired by. And yet you hear one day suddenly they passed away, or something happened to them, or that all the success that they have built suddenly just dissipated. And then you're wondering, how is that possible? Like, what happened? Hi, I'm Jacqueline, and welcome. We at Joyful Living Mindset are so excited that you're here because we believe that there's a great gift within you that's going to uplift humanity in some significant way, and we're here to help you navigate that journey and live your truth. So this past weekend, or last week, I heard of the news that Liam Payne, one of the One Direction singer, actually one of the lead singers of One Direction, passed away at 31. And hearing that news just really shook me and just shocked me. One, because he's so young, right? At 31, and such great talent. Like what a great loss that is. And there are some of their songs that I actually really appreciate. Like, for instance, What Makes You Beautiful is one of my favorite songs. And when I heard the news of his passing, and at such a young age, it just, once again, I'm just like in shock, and I just wonder, like, oh my goodness, like, what happened? Like, what a great loss, and how are they not able to sustain that life of success and grow their joy from that? And Liam Payne is not the only one. If you just look at, for instance, like celebrities or people that we know, there's been Robin Williams, there's been Anthony Bourdain, there's been Michael Jackson, there's been Whitney Houston, just to name a few, right? Just amazing artists and creators and people in the world who are creating things that the entire world, like millions and billions of people around the world, are admiring and appreciating and enjoying. And they are, in their own right, people's role models. Like, we look up to them, we're inspired by their work, by their success, and the life that they're living. And yet, how did they have such tragic ends? And then it's not just isolated to celebrities. I'm sure that if you sit down and think about it, I'm sure that you would know people in your own life as well, whether that be family, friends, or acquaintances that you know that have a similar circumstance. One day you're looking up to them, admiring them, or if you're being completely honest, sometimes even being envious of their success. And then another day you hear that they've lost everything that they built, worked hard to build, or they encounter some calamity or some unfortunate event, right? Or have a tragic end to their life. Because I personally, in my life, I know that there's a few people that I personally have witnessed going through all of that. As I was reflecting on this topic this week, I was reminded of something quite powerful for me. And it's that external success cannot be sustained without internal fortitude. Meaning that no matter how hard we work, and no matter how adamant we are at it, and dedicate our life to it, and create all this massive external success in our life, in many aspects, whether that be our careers or finances, the lifestyle that we're living, the big fancy home that we might be living in, and the fancy cars that we drive in, or whatever it is, like material external successes that we create, right? None of that cannot be sustained if we don't take the time to also do the inner work to make sure that we have a solid foundation to support our external success. Meaning, if we're not doing mindset work, making sure that we are constantly evaluating our belief system and whether or not it's true, and if it still serves us or not, or are they actually holding us back, and doing the work to uncover what limiting beliefs and programming are we running, that's running by default in the background, that's affecting how we show up in life, in our relationship, at work and whatnot. And are we managing our triggers? Like when we get triggered by a business partner, a client, a colleague, a family member, or a friend, or a boss, right? Do we have the capacity and the awareness and the capacity to recognize that we are being triggered? And why are we being triggered? And having the commitment and the courage and the compassion to explore and get to the bottom of, hey, what is it about that person, what that person said or did or represents that is triggering me? Because if we don't, like, those are the kind of examples of the inner work and laying the inner foundations, right? And also making sure that we are aligned with what our soul truly desires, and we're not just blindly and mindlessly creating success and building an empire or pursuing opportunities that make us more money, but we have to compromise a part of us in order to do that, whether that be spending time with family, whether that be our health, whether that be our values even, right? And so these are all the things, like examples of the inner work that we have to constantly work on and create that foundation in order to support our external success. Because without that, it's like building a house without a foundation, right? Or building a house of cards that's just gonna be able to be blown away at any second, or at least at the risk of being blown away and crumble at any second, because there's no solid foundation or structure to support that success, and so you can be able to grow from there and build from there. And that's just, and in my example, for instance, personal example, that used to be me as well. Like, I'm not immune to any of this. That used to be my journey, because I used to think that making money, making a name for myself, getting landing a good job at a great company, and then climbing the corporate ladder to continually make more money and increase my status, my title, and also expand my lifestyle and being able to go these great vacations, or live in a beautiful home, and all of that. Like, that was what I was driven towards, right? Until everything that I proudly tied my identity to were stripped away from me, right? The fancy home, the good job with a great company, the financial stability, the marriage and family. So all of that was stripped away from me, and I had to, like, literally, it brought me to my knees, and I was forced to take the inward journey. I was so stubborn that the powers that be made sure that everything I proudly tied my identity to had to be stripped away from me, and I could not receive any other opportunity to get back on my feet and build my external success until I am willing and to take the time to do the inner work, lay the foundation, and then my life started not only transforming, but blossoming and prospering like way more than any success that I was able to create prior to that. Oftentimes, we are so hooked on that material success and the pursuit of that material success that we don't make time to do the inner work, to lay the foundation. We're just like go constantly, like what's next, right? And we push ourselves because now we're stuck in this monotonous routine of I gotta keep going, because one, I don't want to lose what I've worked hard to build, and two, I've got to maintain what I've worked hard to build as well, right? I'm used to my family and I are used to a certain lifestyle, so I've got to maintain that, right? And three, it's also the expectation and the expectation that others have of you and your reputation as well, right? Because who are you without all this success? So I think that's what oftentimes keep people stuck in that cycle of just constantly just go and not take the time to do the inner work. And I think also what happens is that the inner work often gets deprioritized, right? Because we're barely having time to sleep when we're in that mode of go and what's next, and just constantly churning things to maintain our external success, that we're so tired, we're so exhausted, that the thought of us just sitting in stillness and doing the inner work, it's just like, how do we ever have the time or the energy to do that? But the reality is we cannot afford not to, as in what I've shown or discussed earlier today, right? It's eventually all this will take its toll on us, and our life will start unraveling, or it will start to affect us mentally, like our health, our mindset, our perception, and then it affects how we show up in our relationship, how we show up at work, how we just show up in life in general. And thus that's how our life starts unraveling, and we start to lose the things that we have proudly tied our identity to, like in my case that I shared earlier, or in some worst case, like there's a tragic end to our life and it becomes such a great loss to society.